It was extremely hard. It is better to go abroad.
What do you think admission officers value the most?
Everyone would like to see someone who can lead. They're very strict with their requirements.
Javid, welcome back to ADA. It's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for spending time preparing all this and welcoming me back to ADA school.
So if you're okay with that, let's begin with the questions. What aspects of the IB prepared you best for university life at UCL? Were there any parts you feel didn't prepare you well enough?
Okay, to begin with, as we know, or you may not know, IB is a very hard program in terms of rigor. It asks you to do a lot of things, and it kind of matches the level of rigor that's required in university. But I feel like in university, there's a stronger emphasis on what you're studying because, well, you're in university to study a specific subject, whereas in high school, you do everything. I wouldn't say it didn't prepare me well enough for university, but there are a lot of things to do. So to answer to your second question, I don't think there was an aspect of university that I struggled.
That's great. How did you manage the workload between HL subjects, IA deadlines, EE, and CAS hours?
Well, as I said, it was extremely hard. And sometimes everyone actually has this happening. You won't be able to manage. I missed so many deadlines like everyone else. And I think it was completely okay to miss some deadlines as long as you know you're working for it. As long as you know that even though the school set you a certain deadline, but you still met it, even though it wasn't perfect, but you still managed it. And the same goes with IAs, extended essay, CAS. Yeah, that was how it managed for me.
So you mean that it's okay to sometimes not manage with deadlines because you still know that there's a bright future ahead?
Well, yeah, because for example, in this school or many other schools, when schools set deadlines, they try to be very, very strict with the deadlines. They do it very early. So most of my IA deadlines were done in first year, but I couldn't adhere to those because of all the things. And some of them actually ended in DP2. So it's fine if you're not overdoing it.
Thank you. Looking back, what would you not do again during IB that caused unnecessary stress?
I think the summer between DP2 and DP1 is crucial, and I did absolutely nothing. And yeah, I wish I did more, especially with the extended essay. It was my weakest score. I got a C. And knowing that I did nothing the whole summer, I could have done better for sure. And the same goes maybe for IAs, but I could have done something at least, but I didn't do anything. So I regret that.
How did your experience as vice president of the student council influence in your uni applications or just simply shape your skills? Did it somehow help you?
Well, in my experience, the ADA student council elections happened in November, and personally, I started as a vice president in late November, and I believe it was late for me to have an impact because I applied in December. But generally, skill-wise, obviously, being vice president is responsibility both towards the school administration and most importantly towards students. So it's good for managing your time because there are a lot of stuff to do. And generally, communication skills, both for campaigning and later in the term as a president, it helped me more as a person, but not in applications. I wouldn't say not so much.
Yeah, it didn't. So I know that IB is generally harder, so you had to struggle with your academics as well. And did your role as vice president somehow affect negatively to that?
Well, I would bring in two perspectives to that. The IB coordinator and my parents think it affected my academics negatively. But personally, I don't think it was that much big of an impact. maybe here and there in finals, maybe a bit, but I don't see a substantial impact. And the benefits and the experience that I had as a president was far more valuable than the impact it could have had in academics.
So you value academics more?
No, I value my experience as a president more than might have an impact on academics, but not so much, in my opinion.
Now, how did you present your leadership experience in your personal information, personal statement, or application, considering that you're majoring in engineering?
Well, apart from being vice president, obviously everyone would like to see someone who can lead, who can show experiences in leadership. But apart from that, during my time in ADA school, I did far more than that. I had other projects. For example, I participated in other school science fairs with a classmate of mine about house defense systems. We had all the assembling, microcontrollers, all the technical stuff. And on top of that, generally, again, I was the chief operations officer in Model COP29 in 24 October. We had this project. It's again leadership. So mainly my experience was focused on leadership within ADA school. And I think everyone just loves to see a leader. So that helped a
You're
lot.
definitely right. What do you think admission officers value the most when they apply students? Is there anything specific?
Well, it depends on the country that you're applying for. I was mainly focused on United Kingdom admissions. Personally, I think your grades is the most important aspect in the UK because they're very strict with their requirements. Whereas in US, there's no actually solid grade requirement. You need to send your application and they review it as a whole. So your essays, your supplementary essays and your projects, all that. But in the UK, as I said, the grades are far more important.
So you think that IB students, not only IB students, but generally students should focus on academics if they're planning to apply for a top university like yours, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Even in the US, even there isn't a strict requirement, they still really value the grades. And when they see your application, they might not read the rest, seeing a grade that they don't desire.
Also, I want to talk about extracurriculars. Did they somehow help you as well? Maybe they help you to improve your skills, social skills, or somehow.
Well, yeah, especially for CAS reasons, when I was busy with doing CAS and generally, I think it's a great way to find new people, get new friends. But on top of that, it's also a great thing to have fun. Also, it works well when you're applying to university. Well, especially in our country, in people's minds, they don't take it seriously. I've seen multiple instances. Maybe your parents aren't really supportive of extracurriculars, but personally, I think they help a lot, both for socializing and fun, as you said, for applications and so on.
Yes, and I love that ADA has actually a lot of clubs, and that helps to improve skills a lot. And do you think that universities care more about the impact of leadership or just the prestige of the role itself?
Well, my answer is that both. Well, obviously, the impact of your leadership is more important than the prestige of the role. But when you're writing your application, they would want to see both your position, but you also need to explain what was the impact of your role. Because just writing that you were, for example, the vice president, it isn't that impactful.
Yeah, and it's probably not enough.
Yes.
What are the main 3 things every IB student should prioritize, in your opinion, during school years?
Main 3 things. First, keeping on track with everything because you have 6 subjects, additional stuff, and not leave it to later, also known as procrastination. Second, I think taking care of yourself because I've seen many people who don't sleep enough and thinking, okay, I'll study and sleep less. But I don't find this an effective thing because you need to sleep enough and take care of yourself.
Agreed.
And studying also becomes less efficient when you don't sleep enough. On top of that, third thing, I think it's balancing everything because, as I said, both taking care of self and studying and socializing, they're all important, equally important. And yeah, those three are the most important, in my opinion.
I think our students will find them very beneficial. Let's go to your past. If you could go back in time and tell your DP1 self one thing, what would it be?
As I said, I regret not studying in summer. That I would say my old self that actually do study in the summer. And on top of that, maybe I would say pay more attention to your HL subjects, not math, but physics and chemistry. I believe I still could have done better in those subjects. And for example, I got a 6 in chemistry. I believe I could have gotten 7 easily, but I didn't. So I would tell myself to be a bit more focusing on both subjects.
Now, can you please tell me about your study routine? How you studied and what you use for learning? Maybe any tools?
So personally, I think in exam season, I spent 3 to 4 hours studying. Most of that time went to HL subjects. And personally, I found past papers very useful for studying, especially in science subjects where questions are close to each other every year. Other than that, I think it's important that you do this past papers questions and then look at which topics you struggled with. Personally, I couldn't do well in wave phenomena in physics, for example, and I went on and watched YouTube videos about that topic. You need to be a bit more independent than your classroom. So after you did a certain topic, you might want to improve on that and you might want to practice on that.
Thank you for that. I was also curious about your university. Do you actually recommend to go abroad or do you think that it's better to stay in country?
Well, it depends on what you want to study, but I personally think it is better to go abroad. Well, there are a lot of limits to it. For example, financial limits. I'm on a scholarship personally, so I wouldn't have many options if I didn't go on a scholarship. And depends, maybe if you want to study law or medicine, you might stay in Azerbaijan. But if you can go abroad, I highly recommend it.
Highly recommend. Especially in your major, right? Engineering or?
Yes, definitely, because there aren't really good education on engineering. There are some, but it's definitely not as much as what you would see in abroad. Yeah.
This is it. Thank you so much for sharing with your experiences and insights with us today. I'm sure our student found this extremely beneficial and valuable. Really appreciate your time and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone for listening or watching this. I hope I didn't waste your time. It was valuable.
No,
and thank you so much.